Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into Hoopsville on this Tuesday evening. It is the 24th of March. I am Dave McHugh, and welcome to the show. And thank you for taking the time to join us. Studio, if you spot some different things, it's because we've had to make arrangements. Even in COVID-19 has affected us here. Spent the weekend actually rearranging some things here in the studio to allow my wife a place to work. You can't see where she's working, but you might notice some things have been moved around in the corners. But nonetheless, I want to thank everybody for tuning in and joining us here on our season finale of the show. Late in the show, we'll have a chance to take some questions. We don't have a chance to do it now, but we will try to later. So you can always tweet us at D3Hoopsville or hashtag Hoopsville. You can always email us, hoopsville at d3hoops.com, or join us on Facebook at facebook.com/Hoopsville. The email again is hoopsville at d3sports.com. I misspoke there. Hoopsville at d3sports.com. And again, you can join us on Facebook at facebook.com/Hoopsville and YouTube, youtube.com/D3Hoopsville. There are chat rooms in those last two, though we were not going to be able to really get to the topics necessarily until later in the program. Yes, we do not have national champs, and as a result, we get a chance to do some different things. You might remember back in 2013 on this program, if you happen to tune in that long ago, we announced the men's All-America team as we were waiting to go to Atlanta, and got a chance to do that because we had 2 weeks to kill. I'm not sure why we didn't do it on the women's side in 16 or whatever year it was. But nonetheless, we are doing it tonight for both men and women, thanks in part to the fact that we do not have champions, and the coronavirus has brought our seasons to a sudden end. A couple weeks for women, 10 days before the end of the season, and on the men's side, a few weeks before the end of the season. So we're going to announce the All-Americas in both women and men's teams. We'll also announce the Rookie of the Year, the Coach of the Year, and the Players of the Year on the women's and men's side. We'll also hear from those three awardees, Rookie, Coach, and Player of the Year. It is a huge endeavor, and at the end of the show, we will thank all those who helped us do this. But first and foremost, to remind you how this all works, All-America members have to be all-region members. So you have to have been have won the all-region, which came out roughly a week ago. Remember, the all-region usually comes out the week of the championship weekends, and the All-Americas come out right before the championship game. And this is just a few days past when that normally would be. So you have to be an all-region selected team. You pretty much have to be a first or second teamer, but we've had ones from further down than that. And you have to, obviously, to be nominated, you have to have been nominated for all-region. The only difference between all-region and all-America is we do take the tournament into consideration. Granted, only 2 games per team for most. This time around, we don't have a whole 4 sets of games for the champions and runners-up to compare, or really 3 games because we do it before that. But it is what it is. We got some great selections. Looking forward to getting to them. After the women's selection, we'll talk to Gordon Mann. And after the men's selection, we'll hear from Ryan Scott, as Pat Coleman unavailable this evening, but helping us behind the scenes a little bit. But appreciate his help nonetheless. Again, the panel of D3 Hoops folks get together to decide these All-Americans. And with that, I think we'll get going. I'm pretty sure there aren't any questions we can answer right this moment. And so we, as they say in the biz, we won't worry about that as we get ready to hand out the awards. And we want to thank everybody for joining us to do it. Again, we will announce the Women's All-America first. We'll start with honorable mention and work our way all the way up through first team. We'll be taking some breaks along the way, by the way. And we'll also talk Rookie, Coach, and Players of the Year at the end. We only put 5 on a team. Keep that in mind as well. We only put 5 on a team as we do this because, well, simply put, we want to put a team on the floor that would be able to compete. And with that, I say we get going, shall we? Again, we'll do women first and then men. These are members who were all region selections for D3Hoops.com throughout the 8 regions, and then selected to be All-Americans. We will start with honorable mention, and we'll work our way all the way up to first team, and so on and so forth. So we hope you'll enjoy this with us, and as I said, we will start things off on the women's side. And with that, it's time for the All-America honorable mentions in Division III women's basketball for the year 2019-2020. And we start in the backcourt at guard. It is Pace Lang. The Kane senior from Tewksbury, New Jersey, was the Atlantic Region Player of the Year along with the NJAC Player of the Year. Averaged a smidge over 19 points a game and a little over 2.5 steals per contest. Also pulled down 6.7 rebounds a game. Finished with a career scoring 1,221 points. Congratulations to Pace. Joining Pace on the honorable mention team, Emma Gerds from Wartburg, the senior from Cedar Falls, Iowa, was a two-time American Rivers Player of the Year. Not much of a big scorer necessarily, but good all-around numbers against really good teams that Wartburg tends to play. Became the 17th player, in fact, in Wartburg history to reach 1,000 points. I'm quite sure there's a number of players in the American Rivers Conference. Glad to see Emma is leaving. Joining them is Kendall Sosa, the Illinois Wesleyan sophomore from Normal, Illinois. Top 15 in scoring against a really tough schedule that the Titans played. Scored 32 points against Hope and gave up 41 points. Scored 32 points against Hope, who only gives up about 41 points a game in general. She was a unanimous CCIW first-team selection, also led the Titans in scoring at 21-plus points a game, while scoring the second most points in a season in program history. Bad news for the CCIW, as Kendall is just a sophomore. Joining Kendall on the honorable mention team is Mackenzie Kramer, the Loris senior from Spring Green, Wisconsin. Leading scorer at Loris, averaging just under 15 points a game this season, and led the team in assists at just over 3 per contest, along with 3 steals per contest as well. Kramer, the senior from Loris. And rounding out the honorable mention team for D3Hoops.com All-America, it is McKenna Stone. The senior from Whitman and Hoopsville, Washington, was the Northwest Conference Player of the Year, played pretty well against some tough opponents like Mary Hardin Baylor and George Fox. In fact, she was injured in the Northwest Conference Final against George Fox and did not play in the NCAAs, though she appeared like she might be ready to play in the Sweet 16 before the games were canceled. She led the Blues in scoring at 15.1 points a game and 8.8 rebounds while shooting 53% from the field. So there's your All-America honorable mention team: Pace Lang, Emma Gerds, Kendall Sosa, Mackenzie Kramer, and McKenna Stone. And with that, we move on to the All-America fourth team for D3Hoops.com. And with this, we start up in upstate New York. Senior guard from Cortland and Cicero, New York, it is Beth Bonin, the East Region Player of the Year at 18.5 points a game, 5 rebounds a game, and 3.7 assists per contest. She also had the single-season record, 81 made three-pointers. That is certainly impressive. It was also 9th best in the country. Joining Beth on the fourth team, it is Mackenzie Mason of Scranton, the Doylestown, Pennsylvania senior. Finished second in the Mid-Atlantic Player of the Year race. Good numbers against top opponents. Most dynamic player on the team for sure. Led them in scoring at 14 points a game and rebounding at 7.5 per contest. She was a Landmark Conference Player of the Year, and there's some in the Landmark Conference who are probably glad that Mason is graduating. Joining those two on the fourth team, it's Hannah Holt. The Mary Hardin Baylor senior from Lebanon, Texas, was the ASC West Division Player of the Year winner. She outplayed Kendall Sosa, believe it or not, in head-to-head play, put up good numbers against top teams most of the season, and led the squad with 16.2 points a game and a single-season scoring leader in Mary Hardin Baylor Division III history. She also led the team with 60 steals. The senior Holt on our fourth team. Joining these three on the fourth team, back to the East Coast, we go to Marymount. It's Katie McShay, the Hainesport, New Jersey sophomore. Just missed out on being the Atlantic Player of the Year winner. She averaged a double-double this season, 17.9 points a game, 10.2 rebounds a game, and had 17 double-doubles this season. She was the AEC Player of the Year and the first Marymount All-American for D3Hoops.com since Annetta Benjamin back in 2004. Bad news for everybody. Mache, a sophomore. And rounding out the All-America fourth team from the ODAC and Randolph-Macon from Garysburg, North Carolina, it's senior center Kelly Williams. She was the ODAC Player of the Year and averaged a double-double, played well in both the ODAC and NCAA tournament because she was peaking late. She finished playing about 27 minutes a game despite a slow start because she was recovering from a knee injury from last season that nearly ended the season, but nearly ended her career. She decided to come back and take care of business, and boy, did she. She helped Randolph-Macon defeat Transylvania in the first round of the NCAA tournament. Kelly Williams, one of the best basketball players to have played in Division III. You always wonder what an injury may have left us, but she came back and showed us just how good she really is. So there's your All-America fourth team: Beth Bonham, Mackenzie Mason, Hannah Holt, Katie McShay, and Kelly Williams. So that rounds out that group. And with that, we will take a quick break. When we come back, we will have the third teams and second team winners. And we hope you'll tune in for that. Plus, Gordon Mann will talk to us. We'll have Rookie Coach and Player of the Year. And we have the men to talk about as well. You're listening to the D3Hoops.com All-America announcements here on Hoopsville. Back with more after this.
College basketball lives in Kansas City at the College Basketball Experience at Sprint Center. The College Basketball Experience is the place to get your game on. It's not a museum, it's an experience you won't forget. Discover the history of the game in the National Collegiate Basketball Hall of Fame, featuring the Gallery of Honor, Mentor's Circle, and Honor Theater. Suit up in the latest CBE logoed Nike gear at the CBE Hoop Shop. Elevate your game today and visit the house that college basketball built.
We are the coaches of women's basketball. We are leaders and teachers, dreamers and winners. We are professionals who conduct ourselves ethically and with integrity. We place the education, safety, and well-being of the athletes we coach above all else and teach them the fundamental values they need to succeed in life. We are coaches united for the good of our game and those who play it. We are the WBCA.
I just wanted to get good grades and to do well. But it also made me realize that I have a lot of career goals.
You're there to get a full college experience, not only participate in your sport, but participate in things outside of that. And it's all about growing as a person.
My coaches have helped me with figuring out who I really am. Their lives are dedicated for us to succeed.
It's on us to stop sexual assault
in any way that we can.
To get a friend home safe.
Welcome back to the D3Hoops.com All-America's announcements here on Hoopsville, the season finale of our show. Later in the program, we'll wrap up a bow on the year, and we hope you'll join us for that. We're still in the middle of our women's All-America announcements. We should point out, by the way, we consider honorable mentions on our teams to be All-Americans because, well, we're only selecting 5, thanks to Pat for the reminder about that. We've gotten through honorable mention and fourth team, so it's time on the women's side to get to the All-America third team. And remember, we just have 5 per, and we start up in Wisconsin. From Wisconsin, Oshkosh, it's Leah Porath from New London, Wisconsin. The junior was a WIAC MVP this season, scored a lot of points throughout the season for a team that doesn't put up a lot of points themselves. Scored 17.5 points a game along with 6.7 rebounds. One of the most productive seasons in Titans program history, second most points in a season. Played really well down the stretch, and, of course, the team was still playing down the stretch as well. Leah Porath on this team. She is joined from up in New England by Madeline Eck. The senior from Amherst, from Rye, New York, was a first-team All-New England pick. She was a versatile scorer, of course, and played well against Tufts and Bowdoin, which says a lot. Those were the other 2 top teams in the NESCAC, and those 3 combined with Amherst were 3 of the top 5 in the nation. Second straight All-America honor for her. She was a 4th-team selection last year, one of 2 players to average in double figures for the Mammoths with 14.5 points a game and rebounded about 6 per contest. I have a feeling we might hear from the other Mammoth on this All-America squad as well. Joining those two on the third team, it's Abby Holland. Holland from Trinity, Texas, was a senior at Georgetown, Texas. Just missed out on being South Player of the Year for the region, but she was named SCAC MVP. Put up pretty good numbers against top teams, leading the squad with 18.7 points a game and more than 6.5 rebounds per contest while shooting better than 52% from the field. She finished with a career scoring number of 1,690 points. That's second most in Trinity, Texas women's basketball history. Joining these three on the team, a sophomore from Albright and Reading, Pennsylvania, it's Deja Terrell, the top 10 in scoring nationally and rebounding nationally. That's right, top 10 in points and rebounds in the NCAA Division III. She set school records in points, blocks, rebounds, and field goals made as well. As a sophomore, arguably the best numbers of all forwards on our All-America list, except for maybe Kelly Williams. Had some big games against top opponents, including a career-high 41 points against really tough Messiah. By the way, sophomore, back for 2 more seasons for Albright. And rounding out our All-America third team, it is Taylor Lake, the senior from Chicago and Mars, Pennsylvania. Second in the Central region, she was a UAA Player of the Year. Played against a really hard schedule and did well against it. Led the team in scoring at 14 points a game. She also led the team in assists, blocks, and steals and was second in rebounding. She finished a career high, or I should say finished her career numbers top 10 in 6 different categories in program history. Your All-America third team, ladies and gentlemen, Leah Porath, Madeline Eck, Abby Holland, Deja Terrell, and Taylor Lake, rounding out our third team. Now moving on to our All-America second team, and now we're whittling it down. Only 10 players left to announce as being All-Americans for the D3Hoops.com women's side, and we start, as I hinted at, in New England at Amherst. It's Hannah Fox, the senior from Plymouth, Massachusetts, Plymouth Meeting, Pennsylvania, was a first-team New England all-region selection. Slightly better numbers against top competition than her teammate Eck. Led the team in scoring as well at 16.5 points a game and a smidge under 7 rebounds per contest. Teams were still, of course, the team was still playing at the end, as they were used to doing most seasons. This is her second All-America selection, first time since 2018 when she was a fourth-team selection, so welcome back to Hannah Fox. Joining her on the second team from Hope is Kennedy Schoonveld, the junior from Zeeland, Michigan, Great Lakes Co-Player of the Year and MIA MVP for the only undefeated team in the country at 29-0. Stats are not that competitive because we got really used to Hope just kind of crushing some teams. But she played pretty well against Trine and Illinois Wesleyan when they needed her, including a game-clinching block in the NCAA second round. Congratulations to Schoonfeld. And joining them on the second team, back to New England, we go to Yuleska Ramirez Tejada, the seniors from Emmanuel and Cambridge, Massachusetts, was the GNAC Player of the Year and averaged a double-double this season, 19.3 points a game and 12 rebounds per contest. She actually outplayed Eck and Fox in head-to-head action. She functioned like a coach on the court for a very young team. This is the first Saint to garner D3Hoops.com All-America nod since 2013, and that was Fiona O'Dwyer, 2-time COSIDA Academic All-American as well. She was an incredible talent, will be missed at Emmanuel. Joining them on the second team, it is Hannah Frazier from Wheaton. The Batavia, Illinois senior was a 2-time Central Region Player of the Year, along with a 2-time CCIW Player of the Year. Excellent all-around player, including passing and defense. Led the team at 18.7 points a game and 7.4 rebounds a game. Plus, put in 2 blocks a game and 2.5 assists per contest. The CCIW will not miss Hannah Frazier from Wheaton, a tremendous talent for the Thunder. And joining them on the second team, it's record-breaking. From White Bear Lake, Minnesota, for Bethel, it's Tate Anderson. The senior forward was the first Bethel women's player to be named to the D3Hoops.com All-America teams. She was the West Region Player of the Year and the MIAC Player of the Year, led Bethel to its best season in quite some time. second all-time scorer. She scored a single-season record 554 points. That averages out to 20.5 per game. Scored double figures in all 27 games this season and finished fifth in the nation in field goal percentage at 62.8%. Tate Anderson breaking records at Bethel. Congratulations to her. So there's your All-America second team: Hannah Fox, Kennedy Schoenfeld, Yoleska Ramirez Tejada, Hannah Frazier, and Tate Anderson. And with that, we will take another break. When we come back, we announce the first team, and we give you your Rookie of the Year, your Coach of the Year, and your Players of the Year, and you'll hear from all three of those winners. And still ahead, Gordon Mann joins me to talk about these teams. And still ahead, we have our men's All-America to announce. You're watching Hoopsville, where we're announcing the D3Hoops.com All-America teams. We hope you'll join us back here for more after this.
College basketball lives in Kansas City at the College Basketball Experience at Sprint Center. The College Basketball Experience is the place to get your game on. It's not a museum, it's an experience you won't forget. Discover the history of the game in the National Collegiate Basketball Hall of Fame, featuring the Gallery of Honor, Mentor's Circle, and Honor Theater. Suit up in the latest CBE logoed Nike gear at the CBE Hoop Shop. Elevate your game today and visit the house that college basketball built.
We are the coaches of women's basketball. We are leaders and teachers, dreamers and winners. We are professionals who conduct ourselves ethically and with integrity. We place the education, safety, and well-being of the athletes we coach above all else and teach them the fundamental values they need to succeed in life. We are coaches united for the good of our game and those who play it. We are the WBCA.
I just wanted to get good grades and to do well. But it also made me realize that I have a lot of career goals.
You're there to get a full college experience, not only participate in your sport, but participate in things outside of that. And it's all about growing as a person.
My coaches have helped me with figuring out who I really am. Their lives are dedicated for us to succeed.
Welcome back to Hoopsville, our season finale, as we get ready to toast the season, as it were. We're talking about All-Americans here on this show from the D3Hoops.com list. We've already announced our honorable mention, our fourth team, third team, and second team for the women. It's now time for the All-America first team selection. These are the top 5 players in Division III women's basketball this past season. And we start in Indiana with a heck of a guard in Sydney Kopp. From DePaul, Sydney was a crow. Sorry, we're skipping one. You're giving one away. We're going to go back to second team. So we gave one away. No, we're right. I got ahead of myself. Sydney Kopp, yeah, senior. That's where we're trying to go. This is what happens when you do it by yourself. Let's talk about Sydney. From DePaul, senior from Burr Ridge, Illinois. Great Lakes Co-Player of the Year. NCAC Player of the Year. Highest scorer of all regional player of the years this season. Set a school record for single-season scoring and career scoring. Averaged 21.9 points per game this season and had 1,733 points in her career. Also set single-game records in scoring with 42 points and made 9 three-pointers in a game this season. That's also a single-game record. By the way, she's really good in the classroom, really good in the community. And she was not only a Jostens Trophy finalist, she was the Jostens Trophy winner announced yesterday. So congratulations to Kopp, who is our first selection to the All-America first team from DePaul. Joining Kopp on the team, we head back to Texas and we break some records again. Renette Hughes, a junior guard, All-America from Texas, Dallas. The College Station, Texas junior was a South Player of the Year and is the first Comet to ever be named an All-America in D3Hoops.com history. set a program record with 20 points per contest and set records for steals in a season as well. She was not only the ASC East Division Player of the Year, she was also the ASC East Division Defensive Player of the Year. Top scorer amongst guards in Regional Players of the Year, right after Sydney Kopp. The bad news for everybody, she returns for one more season. We're looking forward to seeing the Texas-Dallas player in Renette Hughes. Congratulations to her. Joining them on the team, we head up to New England for one of the best teams in the country and one of the best players in the country. It's Erica DiCandido from Tufts. The senior guard is a first-team All-American, and for good reason. The North Wales, Pennsylvania senior was the NESCAC Player of the Year, along with Northeast Region Player of the Year, averaged 16.7 points a game and 8.5 rebounds per contest. She also had double figures in 24 of 29 games a year. She finished with the second most points in a single season with 483 in Tufts history. Congratulations to Erica. She is on the All-America first team for D3Hoops.com. Joining her, and also an All-American from the NESCAC and from New England, Maddie Hassan, senior forward from the Polar Bears of Bowdoin. She joins the team from South Portland, Maine. The senior averaged 16.7 points a game, 7.9 rebounds and 2 assists for the Polar Bears. One of the best shooters at 67.1% from the field. Scored in double figures in 23 of 29 games this season. Led the team to their first NESCAC title since 2009 in an upset against Tufts on the road. They had a 27-2 record. Bowdoin now tied with WashU for 15 all-time selections to the D3Hoops.com All-America teams. They did it with 9 players. Congratulations once again to Maddie. And joining her on the first team, we head to Mid-Atlantic, and we talk about a forward from Messiah. Leah Springer, the Camp Hill, Pennsylvania senior, was Mid-Atlantic Player of the Year this season, along with MAC Commonwealth Player of the Year. Some of the best numbers of all regional players of the year, 19.2 points a game, 10.2 rebounds for an average of a double-double. She also had 15 double-double games this season and scored 1,000 points in just 3 seasons and 81 games. Leah Springer, a heck of a talent out of Messiah. She could even pass the ball pretty darn well. So congratulations to her. And rounding out the All-America first team for D3Hoops.com, again, Sydney Kopp, Renette Hughes, Erica DiCandido, Maddie Hassan, and Leah Springer. So there you go. Congratulations to them. We applaud them for their abilities this season and for what they did on the floor for their teams and, of course, for what they were able to do for themselves. So congratulations. Pretty impressive list, to say the least. Of course, we still have some business left to do. There's still some discussion of who might be some of the best players in the country. We have our Rookie of the Year, our Coach of the Year, and our Player of the Year, and we won't waste any time. Coming up ahead, we will talk to Gordon Mann, but first, let's talk about the Rookie of the Year for 2020 for D3Hoops.com, and it's Aaliyah Hampton of Berea. The freshman guard is our choice. Oh, I have the wrong video. I apologize. We had video of Aaliyah, and apparently I queued up the wrong tape. Nonetheless, it is the Hopkinsville, Kentucky native was the first Berea player to earn this honor, South Region Rookie of the Year, to go with the USA South Rookie of the Year. Oh, by the way, she was also the USA South Player of the Year and a first-team selection. Averaged 19.8 points a game and 2.2 assists, along with 2 steals per contest. We got a chance to talk to her about this accomplishment earlier this week and get her reaction on what she thought of this honor. Now joining us on the Blue Frame Technology Hoopsville hotline, it is Aaliyah Hampton from Berea. Aaliyah, congratulations and thanks for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm kind of curious, what does it mean to you to be recognized as pretty much not only one of the best players out there in the country, but the best freshman to play?
It's a blessing. I never thought it would happen to me, but I'm just glad and thank God every day that it happened to me just my freshman year. And it's really crazy.
Yeah, I'm sure you have goals, but they're not necessarily there the freshman year. I'm sure every player would love to get honored in their conference. Every player would love to be honored in their region and be an All-America selection of some kind along the way. But to have those goals, I should say, your freshman year might be a little bit lofty?
Yes, yes, definitely. Because, of course I had to go to be at least a player of the year eventually out of my 4 years. But, to get rookie of the year and player of the year and MVP and all this other stuff, it's just I just can't believe it happened.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a little different than what you had in mind when basketball started practice in October, or maybe when you were chose to go to Berea. Let's step back to that step. Berea is a very unique school. We talked to your coach earlier this year on the Hoopsville about all of that. I'm kind of curious what drove you to go to Berea and not only play basketball for the school, but to be a part of that institution.
I was really decisive. It was stressful to choose what schools to go to. But then I was trying to major in nursing, and they had a good nursing program. And then, the basketball, once I talked to Milby, and I haven't even seen them play a game. I didn't even see them practice. Milby was just telling me, good things, and I always look stuff on the internet. So I was just okay, forget it. It's 3 hours away from where I'm from. My mom could come to my games. It has a good nursing program. It had a whole lot of advantages that a lot of schools didn't have. So I just decided, committed, and then now this is where I'm at.
What's really interesting, though, is that, you've got the work program plus the academic rigors plus basketball. You were really committing to a very different structure than a lot of college students have. Did that attract you to the school?
I was really scared about all that because I knew, a lot of people tell me, the classes and stuff is hard, us working and stuff like that. So I was, really scared to go to that school because I just didn't know what I was going into. But then, once basketball season actually started and how Milby does things, he doesn't, stress us out, make us have practice 3 times a day or just make us come in just because of it and stuff like that. We'll literally have, 2 days a week of practice. Mm-hmm. We won't practice the day before. We won't practice the day before a game sometimes. And it's just really cool and relaxing. And he doesn't do too bad of, stressing us out about basketball in school because he was to play, you got to be eligible. So he just get your schoolwork done, focus on your schoolwork, then focus on basketball as well.
Fascinating. Certainly a different experience than some get, though everybody wants to be eligible. There are other aspects certainly make it more interesting, which maybe makes your freshman campaign even the more impressive. Leading the team in scoring, being the first player to get a lot of these awards in Division III history or in Berea history, period, for the institution. But you almost 20 points a game, 2 assists per game, 3 rebounds a game, 2 steals a game. You weren't just one-dimensional, were you?
I guess not. Just from hearing all that, after that, I didn't even know myself. But I guess it just happened.
Yeah, it's true. I'm curious what this season, or actually before the season, what did you expect you guys could do at Berea? This program has been building a little while, but it's still young in Division III aspects of life, or the USA South. What were your expectations coming into the season?
Well, first when we first started, we wasn't as close as we probably make it seem like it. We really never talked to each other. Les Milby had us meet and stuff like that. But then once we actually got going and we had our first practice, we were just we can be good. We can really do this. So then, as the season goes on and we started winning and then we lost some games and we went on a streak for a long time. And then it was just, our goal was just to to win the championship game in our conference, to go to the NCAA tournament. So we knew we could accomplish that goal. We just had to put our mind to it and play with all our hearts, and that's what we did.
You certainly had an incredible year making the NCAA tournament, and I'm curious, as the season progressed, how did the locker room change? Did it become more pressure-filled, or did you guys have more fun?
We had more fun because it was just it was pressure there a little because, we don't want to lose. We trying to get this done just for the sake of our seniors. And the seniors done been through this, and Milby done been through this, and it never happened. It never had happened in Berea. So we're just this is our year to do it. So it became more fun because he always made sure we stayed humble. Regardless if we don't win 10 games in a row, Milby was don't get comfortable. He made sure that we stayed humble and that we always know that we had a target on our back. Like, the more games we win, the better we keep going as our record goes. And as we beat these teams, like, you got to know, like, anybody's coming for you. So he just made sure, definitely, to make sure that we stayed humble and never was satisfied.
Sure. All right. So you've had the great season, and you had your individual great season. Does this add to the goals? Do you guys raise the bar automatically for the years ahead?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It definitely does, because we know, like, that's just our target. That's our goal every year, to make it to the NCAA tournament and get past the first round and keep going as far as we possibly can. So it's definitely a target to keep reaching for. We know that we can do it. We know we can be good. We are moving forward. We did lose 40 seniors. So it's just like, we're like, dang, but like, we know that as a team, we're a young team as well. So it's like we can do this every year if we really want to. We put our hearts into it.
Well, congratulations, not only on what you guys have done as a team, but what you have done individually certainly stood out. You had a tremendous year, and I congratulate you. Helped put Berea a little more firmly on the map, and for that, we tip our hat. As always, we give the guests the final word. Any final thoughts you want to share with those who may be tuned in?
For anybody just going to college, just always have faith in yourself. Always believe in yourself that you can do anything that you put your mind to and have your heart into it. And always pray to God that he keeps blessing you with the opportunities and that he give you the strength to go through each and every day. But other than that, nope, I just thank everybody for supporting me, supporting my team, and it's plenty more to come.
Well said, and congratulations again. Thank you for the time. We look forward to catching up with you in the program down the road.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Aaliyah Hampton joining us here from Berea on the Blue Frame Technology Hoopsville Hotline. Once again, congratulations to Aaliyah Hampton from Berea. And again, first time a Berea player has ever gotten this honor. We congratulate her. Not to spend any more time on it, but we have to get to our Coach of the Year for 2020. Quite a few good selections on this one to choose from. We had some great seasons for teams, but you go with a team that finished undefeated, and that is Brian Morehouse at Hope in his 24th season. A 29-0 season. They finished number one in the D3Hoops.com final poll, MIAA regular season and tournament champions. The Flying Dutch had the best defensive team in Division III, only allowing 42.3 points a game when it was all said and done. And they also had the best scoring margin in the country, 33.4 a contest. Also top 6 in turnover margin, defensive field goal percentage, steals per game. They finished undefeated in league play for the 7th time in program history. And Morehouse won his 600th game this season. That's the fastest ever in NCAA basketball, both men and women and all 3 divisions, to ever get to 600 wins. We talked to Brian earlier about it as well. Now joining us on the Blue Frame Technology Hoopsville Hotline, it is the head coach of Hope College. It is Brian Morehouse. Coach, once again, thanks for joining us on the show, and congratulations.
Appreciate it, Dave. It's been a fantastic year, and a lot of great awards that come with that we don't take for granted, but, obviously a very unique year as well.
Certainly. What does an award like Coach of the Year mean to you in terms of personally and to a program?
Well, personally, it means that I've surrounded myself with a lot of great people, and I get to speak highly of my assistant coaches and my players and, defer the credit to them. That's really the power of the award. I've never really been caught up in the awards at the end. It's more the process in getting to them. But, it is meaningful to be recognized with such a great team that we had this year. And there were a lot of really, really great coaching jobs that were done this year.
Yeah, you're right. There were certainly a number of coaches we could be talking to on this particular evening. You happen to be the one who has the program who's the last undefeated in Division III. And while we still had some games to be played over the course of 2 weekends to decide who ultimately was going to be the national champs, you guys voted number one as that undefeated. Part of what was a pretty incredible season of accomplishments for you guys.
Really great season. I think it started a year ago when we had an ending that we didn't like to a very good Wartburg team, and just sort of reevaluated our program. And I don't think anything was completely broken, but I think some things could be polished up and improved upon. And I I think we as a staff and our players took that to heart and really set out to build on last year's scars and, add work to that and make this year a little bit better. And we did that definitely in a big, big way.
Well, what's interesting, too, is, and you and I have touched on this, you guys lost quite a bit of talent from last year's team. I don't think anybody had huge expectations, at least to the fact of going undefeated for this squad. I think, there are gremlins when you're kind of retooling things after losing such a great class. Did you really expect to be undefeated when you got to this point in the season?
No, and undefeated is kind of the goal, but never the goal.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that undefeated is something that happens when you commit to being great at the process and embracing every day. We lost an all-timer in Frankie Buchanan. She's All-American, one of the leading scorers of all time at our school, and just an all-time great. And how do you replace that? And we knew that we had good players that were returning, but that's a big hole to fill. So we had to retool. We had to do things differently this year. We had to coach differently. We had to X and O it differently. And that was a great challenge, and our players really took it upon themselves to really take those challenges and those opportunities and run with them. And we had some players that made some big, big jumps in Frankie's absence. And it was really cool to see the improvement that players went about making over the course of the summer beforehand.
Absolutely. And again, undefeated, the only one in Division III, goes along with, hitting 600 wins this season, the fastest in Division III for yourself, plus other accomplishments for the team. While it didn't end as we traditionally know it, with only one team winning and everybody else having taken a loss at least, and while there isn't a trophy to per se raise, how will you think everyone will look back on this season?
All of our fans will look at it as a national championship. But that's just the incredible fandom of our group. I think our players will look at it as that they checked off every box they were asked to check off. And that's how I'll look at it as a coach. Every challenge that we put in front of them in practices and games, in the national tournament, they checked those off. We assumed nothing. We had an incredible pod that we were going to play in the Sweet 16. I mean, with the teams that we had there, Oshkosh, Baldwin, Wallace, we knew that it was going to be incredibly difficult. However, we were at home and we had a chance, and we knew that it would have been difficult, but, we think that, we would have had a real chance at advancing, but I think those teams did too, because it was very evenly matched pod.
Sure. I certainly can understand that point. Not that we want to look too much forward at this point, because we're still enjoying what was this season, but what might scare a lot of people is you bring most of this unit back.
We have a lot of talent returning. I think the challenge that you always have is to find ways to continue to keep them sharp and have them interested in the off season, have them interested in the preseason next fall, have them interested in the regular season. And I know that sounds crazy, but we're at Division III. Everybody doesn't make it. You're a bad loss away from not being in. And so we have to approach next year just like we did this year. There is no carryover other than the experience that your players bring with them. Sure. And I hope that they learned a lot from it. I hope that they want to understand that they're still not as good as they can be, and I want them to attack those things. But I think that it would be dangerous to make assumptions heading into next year. We've got a great schedule, and it should be a great season.
Certainly. Well, Brian, I appreciate the time. Congratulations once again on the honor. We look forward to talking to you down the road as this continues into the future as a program, and certainly we hope and look forward to be back on the basketball court at some time. But as always, we give the coach and guest the final word. Any final thoughts you want to share with those tuned in?
Incredible year for Division III overall. I think that the quality of teams in Division III this year and the parity was unlike anything I've ever seen before, which made the Sweet 16 and heading to the Final Four incredibly exciting for everyone. And just can't wait to get back in the gym with our players next year and see if we can't take this thing all the way through.
Sure. Hopefully we get a finish next year, right? Brian, thanks for the time. Really appreciate it. Take care of yourself. We'll look forward to talking to you down the road.
Thanks, Dave.
Brian Morehouse joining us here from Hope College on the Blue Frame Technology Hoopsville Hotline. Once again, congratulations to Brian Morehouse. Again, his 24th season as being the Coach of the Year for this year. Second time he's been named Coach of the Year. He was named it back in 2016 when they won the award. We've been handing this out, though, for only 15 years, so still 2 and 15. Not too shabby, so congratulations to him. And it's now time for the one you've been waiting for in women's basketball. It's the 2020 Player of the Year. You can look to the first team selections to possibly pick out who you think it might be. And I think for us, we went with one we were really impressed with. From Tufts, it is Erica DiCandino, the senior guard and really forward. She played many a position, to say the least. She was pretty darn impressive, helping the Jumbos to a impressive season, to say the least. So enjoyed watching her. We mentioned a few of her highlights earlier in the year. Again, NESCAC Player of the Year, that's voted on by the SIDs and coaches. She averaged 16.7 points a game, 8.3 rebounds, 3.5 assists. She was 37% of the Jumbos' entire offense this season. You just could not stop her. Fun to watch, and she is what helped the Jumbos do so well under first-year head coach Jill Pace. We talked to Erica earlier about this honor. Now joining us on the Blue Frame Technology Hoopsville Hotline, it is Erica DiCandino from Tufts. First and foremost, congratulations on the honor, and a little bit different way to finish the year, but at least you got a nice honor to go with it.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm so honored and privileged to have that.
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly an amazing season, not only for you, but for Tufts as well as a program. Tufts in general has become somewhat of a powerhouse in terms of producing really good basketball teams and other sporting teams. What does it mean to you as a senior to have done what you have done at Tufts throughout your career?
Oh, it means so much. I was so lucky to be a part of it these past 4 years. I think not only basketball, but being able to play under Coach Berube and even Coach Pace now, having a new coach, just all those different experiences has taught me so much. And my freshman year, I got to play for a national championship, so that was awesome. Even though we didn't get it, it was still such an amazing experience. And even though the season didn't end up as we wanted, just like you said, we had an undefeated regular season. We've never gone undefeated in the NESCAC, so we beat 2 top 5 teams away, which was just such an amazing experience. So it's been such an honor to play at Tufts, and I loved every second of it.
Sure, I can imagine you would have.
Yeah.
I'm curious, so you did go through that coaching change. Any nerves going into this year about how much was going to change with Coach Berube leaving and Coach Pace coming in?
Definitely once Coach Berube announced it, we were all like, oh my God, what is going to happen? But once we met Coach Pace, we knew right away, since she already knew basically about Tufts because she was the assistant a couple of years before. So she came in right away and was addressed all the changes, said it's not going to be the same, but I'm going to try to keep it as much as you like, but make my own impact. And she was so helpful. Jamie was so helpful. It was just very easy. Way too easy, we believe, sometimes.
Hey, that can be a good thing some ways, but I can understand the nervousness about that. I'd love to talk about the interesting factors about your team and maybe what you contributed to it, because I think of 2 particular games this season. The one against Amherst early on where you guys all went into overtime and nobody hit 50 points in a slugfest of defenses. And then I fast forward to the game at Bowdoin in the regular season where none of you could miss shots on either team, and we're in the 90s in regulation. You guys seem to be a team that could do a lot of different things. Was that true in the general sense as a team, and how did you contribute to that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we know that Amherst is such a good defensive team that we really had to turn on our defense because our offense wouldn't be flowing as much, especially in the Amherst gym. Just their powerhouse of a defense. And then, Bowdoin obviously is just so good at offense. they average the most points in the NESCAC. They're so good. So we knew we had to be on. I think just our team was able to step up when we needed to step up, and we have really good chemistry both on and off the court. So we were able to kind of rally each other and just kind of grind out the win. Both games were super close. Both teams were really good. And I think just our team, especially me, like I try to be a good captain, and we had so many people stepping up. So that's all you can ever ask.
Sure, true. I'm curious, you guys, obviously the season didn't end like we traditionally have it. We either have a champion and everybody else has taken a loss. We ended with 16 teams having wins, getting ready to play their next games. What was the season like from your vantage point other than just this kind of odd finish?
Yeah, I honestly believe this was one of my favorite seasons, not only because I was a senior, so I was playing every game like it was going to be my last, but because this team just felt special. Like, I can say it now because no one knows, but I could feel it. We were going to win the national championship.
All right.
Obviously, that's a stretch.
Well,
but,
fair.
Yeah, but I don't know. We had great chemistry. Like I said, Coach Pace was amazing. Coach Jamie was awesome. We had an amazing athletic trainer, Pat Cordero, and we just really meshed well. And coming in, having a coach of the year, an assistant coach of the year, you're not just like who you are for that. So they proved themselves, and I think our team proved ourselves too. And we had such an amazing experience. We lost in the NESCAC championship, but even getting to that point was so awesome, and I was so thankful for it.
Strangely enough, you and Swarthmore on the men's side both losing in the conference championship games. A little weird way to end the regular season.
Yeah.
Before we let you go, curious, let everybody know what your major is. You were a Jostens finalist, so we know you're pretty accomplished in the classroom as well. And what do you plan to do once you graduate?
So I'm a cognitive and brain science major, and I currently have a job, hopefully that starts in August, working for a business called GuidePoint in New York City.
Fascinating. What does GuidePoint do?
So basically, I'm going to be a client service associate, and they are kind of the middleman for finding clients and businesses connecting.
Oh, very interesting. Well, I appreciate the time. Thank you so much. Congratulations, not only on a tremendous season, but obviously a tremendous career at Tufts. We really appreciate you taking the time. We have a tradition on the show. We always give the guests the final word. Final thoughts you want to share with those tuned in?
Sure. Thank you so much for this award and for following along with D3 women's basketball, and I hope everyone stays safe.
Well said. Thank you for your time, Erica. Appreciate it. We look forward to hearing about your endeavors in the future.
Thank you.
Erica DiCandino joining us here on the Blue Frame Technology Hoopsville Hotline. Fun to talk to Erica, and congratulations again on being the 2020 Player of the Year for D3Hoops.com. Says a lot about the ability that she had and the ability that Tufts team had, to say the least. And with that, we bring in D3Hoops.com senior editor Gordon Mann to discuss all of this, sir. I know you do most of the heavy lifting on the women's side, and then every once in a while throw up some flares like, oh, help me with this.
Yeah.
I did my best to help you. With that in mind, this was, I think, one of the more fascinating All-America lists, I think. Only one team with two players, everybody else well represented. I know we don't think there's a lot of parity in Division III women, but it's showing a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, I think you do have a good distribution of really excellent talent. You do have 4 players from the same conference and 5 from the Northeast region, although the Northeast region has a lot of teams in it. But yeah, I thought the team has pretty good geographic balance. It was harder to pick it this year because normally those last 2 weekends is really where you can separate kind of first and second teamers, particularly this year. For whatever reason, the top players, the ones that were really in the running for Player of the Year, they were all forwards. So Erica, who you just had, was a swing. Maddie Hassan was a forward. Tate Anderson.
We may have lost.
Was sometimes it works out that way.
Sorry, you dropped there for a second, but you're back. Go ahead.
Okay, so just saying that for whatever reason there was a concentration of really excellent players at forward, and that opportunity that you might have had to see Hassan face off with whoever or Springer and DeCandido looked like they were going to have a matchup in the Elite Eight if they both got that far. We didn't get some of that, so it made it a little harder to differentiate. If you look at Erica's numbers and you look at Maddie Hassan's numbers, I know Maddie was the WBCA Player of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
They're very hard to distinguish from each other. They both played very well against each other. They both played better statistically in the game they didn't win, which makes some sense because they needed to. Their team records were not that different. At the end of the day, we kind of trusted the coaches in the NESCAC who had picked Erica, and you really couldn't go wrong either way with either one of those two. Leah Springer again had an excellent year. Pretty good balance, and some schools that have never had All-Americans on our list. Bethel has never had an All-American. They had a Rookie of the Year a while back with Rachel Porupski. Texas Dallas has never had an All-American, and Berea. I know you talked to Aaliyah earlier. They've never had an honoree on our team. They haven't been they haven't been Division III that long.
Sure.
But even some teams like Loris has not had a lot of schools. Emmanuel has not had a lot of players, and of course you do have the Blue Bloods in there, Scranton, Amherst. Those programs that routinely Wheaton that routinely have All-Americans, and they do again. It's a fun process to work through it. It's a difficult one when you don't have those tiebreakers where somebody's team went farther. You can say, well, X played against Y,
right, and
she won that matchup.
Interesting. Always All-Americans tend to be senior dominated, but 6 of the 20 were underclassmen, juniors, and a few sophomores, not counting our freshmen at Berea. We have some talent that are younger coming back next year that certainly are going to stand out.
Yeah, we do, and the players that were just missed, that you couldn't find room for them on the team. We do try and keep some semblance of balance. We don't really want an All-American team with 4 forwards or 5 guards. There were some really excellent players, and they were all underclassmen, almost all underclassmen. So, players who are going to come back who will be on the preseason All-American list, barring some sort of injury, players like Olivia Nagy at John Carroll and Mackenzie Kramer's teammate, Marissa Schroeder at Loris, Janine Cuffey at NYU. Those players will all be back. Their teams will all be good. But you do sort of get a sense of the top 10. You have Deja Terrell, who was an outstanding sophomore, and you have Leah Porath, who really came on very strong and was the WIAC Player of the Year. And then you have, just like last year, if you had looked at kind of who was returning, you would have said the top player returning in the country, at least the lone Jostens Trophy finalist who was returning, was from Texas Dallas. And that'll be the case again next year when Raynette Hughes comes back as our lone first team All-American from a year earlier. And I missed her, but Kennedy Schoonveld will also be back. She'll be a senior next year. You talked to Brian about how stacked his team will be. And Olivia Voskel, who was someone we looked at very closely, will also be back and will, again, barring some unforeseen circumstance, would be preseason All-American. So there's some good talent coming back. Much like the recap season you and I and Ryan and Pat did earlier, it's a little bittersweet because you don't know how those final weeks would have played out.
Yeah.
But you do. It was fun at this time when there's not a lot of positive things to focus on. To celebrate some of these players and coaches and what they accomplished.
And you mentioned, Kopp was Jostens' winner. Hassan was the WBCA selection. DeCandido was our selection. 3 of that top 5, and that's nothing against Hughes and Springer.
Right.
But you go through this list, Gordon. There's some darn good talent throughout the entire team. And granted, it's seniors in a lot of them, but in a lot of ways, it's players that you almost do wish kind of got that last weekend.
Yeah, I mean, this would be the list, right? This would be the list of players. Particularly, we do weigh team success, and if it comes down to it, one of our tiebreakers, candidly, is your team still playing, right? At this point, and when you normally do this, you do this before you release it before the national championship game and then there's obviously only 2 teams playing at that point. But in this case, with 16 left. You had a lot of really good players from a lot of really good teams, and that's always the case. But this year, I think because of the unresolved finish, it weighted a little more that way.
Sure. Hey, sir, I appreciate the time and the hard work.
My
I know
pleasure.
this was not the easiest project for you, and I've made promises that I will step in and help you in the future. I know I contributed a little this time with final thoughts at like 10 in the morning. But any final thoughts we get from you before we sign off for you for the season?
Just a quick one. Thanks to you and to Luke for putting this together. Again, not a lot of positivity. I don't know where Leo or Brian or Erica were when you caught them, but I know they weren't on campus doing what they'd like to do. Whether that's coaching or getting ready for midterms or whatever. It's a difficult time, and I'm thankful for the extra effort that you and Luke put into producing the show tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you for the help as well. Take care of yourself and your family. Look forward to talking to you. Hey, by the way, get a break, will you?
We'll see.
All right. We'll talk to you soon. Gordon Mann joining us on the Blue Frame Technology Hoopsville Skype hotline. Appreciate him taking the time. Does yeoman's work on the women's side. Certainly knows women's basketball better than anybody. We'll take a break. When we come back, we will talk men's All-America teams. You're watching the Hoopsville season's finale in the D3Hoops.com All-America selections here on Hoopsville.
My name is Marcus Walker. I was All-State, won a state championship, a high school All-American, and played college and pro ball. I played because I love the game. I grind to be the best. I sweat because I put in work. I'm strong because I believe. When I want to bring it before game time, I come to the house that college basketball built, the CBE. No matter your skill, take it to another level. Elevate your game right here at the College Basketball Experience at Sprint Center.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
In any way that we can.
To get a friend home safe.
To never blame the victim.
It's on us.
To stand up.
To make our community safe for all.
It's on us.
It's on us to look out for each other at parties.
It's on us.
To be more than just a bystander.
To step up and say something.
It's on us, all of us.
To stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
Welcome back to the D3Hoops.com All-America team announcements here on the Hoopsville season finale. I'm your host, Dave McHugh, and thank you for tuning in. We will put a bow on the season, as it were, coming up and talk about these selections and more. But I appreciate Gordon Mann coming on and talking women's selections with us. It's now time to turn our focus to the men's team. And again, remember, we're announcing honorable mention through first team. Then we have rookie, coach, and players of the year. There are 5 players on each team. And so we consider honorable mentions to be All-Americans because, well, there's 5 of them, and we're putting actual teams together. You have to be an all-region selected member to be on this. So we do take the postseason into account more than just the regular season. I don't mean to say that it outweighs the regular season. I just mean we add it to their resumes. And we just take 5, and it would be a team. So at most, you might see 4 guards. At most, you might see 3 forwards. That's how we put this together at D3Hoops.com. So now time to take a look at the All-America team in men's basketball. And we start at the guard position, as you normally would do. And it is, well, hold on. I skipped one. Hold on. I almost had the wrong graphic. I don't want to ruin the surprise. There we go. Eric Demers, the senior guard from Gordon, from I can't remember how to say him in Massachusetts. Garrick, I'm not going to brutalize your team. I should know it, New England. But anyway, Commonwealth Coast Conference Player of the Year. He scored 2,553 career points. That's 14th all-time in NCAA Division III history. 2,553 points. He also led the nation in scoring this year at 32.4 points per game. Joining Demers on the honorable mention team, the man with the hair, it's Booker Copeland, the senior from Augsburg, the guard from Shakopee, Minnesota, was a 2-time MIAC Player of the Year and named to the MIAC All-Defensive Team as well. Averaged 23.7 points a game and 8.5 rebounds as well. Joining them on the honorable honorable mention team. It is Sam Jefferson, senior at Colby at the guard position. Big guard, though, to say the least, from Newton, Massachusetts. Holds the school record for 3-point field goals made at 282. He averaged 60% from the field, 50% from beyond the arc, and 88% from the line. In other words, the man was hard to stop. Congratulations to him. Joining those three on the team from Calvin at forward, it's a senior from Grand Rapids, Michigan. It is Derek DeVries. He was named the MIA Most Valuable Player. He also scored 30-plus points in 9 games this season, including an incredible 38 against Wisconsin Whitewater. And joining them and rounding out the honorable mention team from St. Paul, Minnesota, forward from Carleton, it's senior Kent Hansen. He was a 3-time All-MIAC selection. He was also a finalist for the Jostens Trophy this year. So there you go for the honorable mention. Eric Demers, Booker Copland, Sam Jefferson, Derek DeVries, and Kent Hansen. Congratulations to those gentlemen. Now we move on to the All-America 4th team. And this is, again, 5 guys from around the country in guards and forwards. And we start in the central part of the country. It is Jake Rohde, the junior from Elmhurst, from Chicago Heights, Illinois, 2-time All-CCIW first-team selection. He had 14 assists in an 88-84 win at Carthage this season. He was one of the biggest reasons Elmhurst was such a big splash this season in men's basketball. Joining him, a guy who loves to make a splash, especially from deep, from Portland, Oregon. It's Ben College, a senior from Whitworth. The Northwest Conference Player of the Year, also a Jostens finalist. He finished second in free throw percentage for the nation at 91.6%. In other words, don't put Ben College on the line, especially if he's shooting from deep. Fun to watch him play his 4 seasons at Whitworth. And joining them and from Nichols, Deontay Bruton, the senior from New London, Connecticut. He averaged 33 points a game in conference and the NCAA tournament. Hit game winner against Stevens this season. Bruton scored 2,335 career points, second in Nichols history to 2019 grad Marcus Echeverria. You might remember Marcus Echeverria. You didn't know about Bruton because of Echeverria. Congratulations to Bruton. Also on the 4th team, Nate Schaefer, the senior from Swarthmore and McLean, Virginia. He was the Centennial Conference Defensive Player of the Year, 248 career blocks, and I'll be honest, that's probably low because I think some of his blocks were missed. He was incredibly good. In the second round NCAA win over Ithaca, he'd scored 14 points with 20 rebounds, 4 blocks, and 3 assists. This senior year was Nate Schaefer's coming out party, and boy, did he come out and play a great game. And rounding out the 4th team from Yeshiva, it's the forward, Gabe Leifer from Lawrence, North Carolina. He's listed as a senior, but don't be surprised if he's back next year. He's got the eligibility. He had 4 games with triple-double this season, averaged 16 points a game, 14 rebounds a game, and had 7 assists. He was also the Skyline Conference Player of the Year last season. So there's your All-America 4th team. Jake Rohde, Ben College, Deontay Bruton, Nate Schaefer, and Gabe Leifer. Incredible set of teams there, to say the least, and we congratulate everybody for their accomplishments. With that, we take another break. We will get you the 3rd team and 2nd team coming up. You're watching the D3Hoops.com All-America announcements here on Hoopsville, the season finale. Back with more from the WBCA and ABC studios after this.
We are the coaches of women's basketball. We are leaders and teachers, dreamers and winners. We are professionals who conduct ourselves ethically and with integrity. We place the education, safety, and well-being of the athletes we coach above all else and teach them the fundamental values they need to succeed in life. We are coaches united for the good of our game and those who play it. We are the WBCA.
It's on us. It's on all of us. And it's time to act now.
It's on us to start the change. It's on us to be the change. It's on us. It's on Division 3. It's on all of us to stop sexual assault.
I learned a lot of valuable lessons playing college football. I never thought about the health benefits of exercise until I actually started to talk to coaches in college. It's not only just for performance, it's for life. My coaches instilled the importance of well-being, not only building up strength, mental health, getting enough sleep, eating properly is all what it is to be healthy. I decided that I want to go into personal trainer and share my knowledge that I obtained in college about physical and mental well-being.
Welcome back to Hoopsville, the season finale here from the WBCA NABC studios. I'm your host, Dave McHugh. We will wrap up the season with a bow and my final thoughts on the season later. Coming up soon, we'll hear from Ryan Scott as well from D3Hoops.com, our national columnist. But we're in the middle of our men's All-America announcements for D3Hoops.com. We have announced our honorable mentions. We have announced our fourth team. By the way, if you missed the women's, we've already announced their entire team plus rookie coach and player of the year. Still ahead for us on the men's side, we have our third team, second team, first team, and of course, rookie coach and player of the year honors. So we should probably get back to work, shall we not? Where are we? We are sitting with the third team, if memory serves. And joining us on the third team, and we start with that, we head back to the central part of the country. Jack Nolan. I knew that was going to disappear. Give me a second. I saw a warning sign. Actually, we'll just mention Jack, and then we'll get to it. Jack Nolan watched you from Downers Grove, Illinois. He was a UAA player of the year and the D3Hoops.com Central Region Player of the Year. Currently first all-time in WashU career free throw percentage at 91.5%. Nolan had a tremendous season. Joining him on the third team, it is Carter Volker. Volker, a senior from Wisconsin Platteville and Kiel, Wisconsin, was the WIACCO Player of the Year himself. He averaged 16 points a game, 7 rebounds a game, and 4 assists on the season. Joining them on the third team, you know what? This is a guy that makes the drink work for Johns Hopkins. It's Connor Delaney. He's a junior from Garnet Valley, Pennsylvania, Centennial Conference and D3Hoops.com Mid-Atlantic Region Player of the Year. He was recruited to play lacrosse at both Villanova and Johns Hopkins. He ended up at Johns Hopkins, not playing lacrosse. He's playing basketball in Division III. Their season came to an end in the first round of Penn State Harrisburg. Unfortunately, Delaney suffering an injury with 15 minutes left to go in regulation, breaking a foot in that game. Good news is he will be back next year. I hear good things about his recovery. Connor Delaney, fun to watch. Just a junior. He will be a force to be reckoned with. Joining them on the third team, it's Isaiah Brown. The sophomore from SUNY Potsdam made his presence known, especially in the second half of the season from Queens, New York. He was a SUNYAC and D3Hoops.com East Region Player of the Year, averaged 29 points and 9 rebounds on the season, and that includes missing a little bit of the season earlier on. He will make the SUNYAC a much more interesting place, to say the least. And joining them and rounding out our third team, it is Luke Rogers, the junior from Tufts and Boxborough, Massachusetts. He was the choice of the NESCAC Player of the Year, averaged 17 points a game and 12 rebounds a game for a double-double. He only averaged, though, 25 minutes a game or less. So imagine pulling off that double-double in 25 minutes. Congratulations to him. We should point out he's back next year. So is Isaiah Brown. So is Connor Delaney. And so is Jack Nolan on this team. 4 of these guys return next year. That's not all good news for you basketball fans who hope they were gone. Now we'll move on to our second team for the D3Hoops.com men's team. And starting off from Wesley, it is Brian Cameron, the Newark, Delaware native, was the AEC Player of the Year. He averaged 29 points a game, 8 rebounds a game, and 4 assists a game for the season. Scored more than 2,000 points, if memory serves. In his time at Wesley, he was fun to watch for Dean Burrow's squad, and we congratulate him on the accomplishment. Joining Brian in the backcourt, it is Nathan Bauer-Malone, a senior from Mount Union and Stowe, Ohio, scored 53 points in an NCAA second-round win over York of Pennsylvania. He was the OAC and D3Hoops.com Great Lakes Region Player of the Year. That's a mouthful, along with the name Nathan Bauer-Malone. But the Raiders' top guy is a second-team selection here for D3Hoops.com. And joining them also in the backcourt, it is Buzz Anthony for Randolph-Macon. What couldn't this guy do? He's from Arnold, Maryland. He's a junior, just a junior, but he's already a 2-time ODAC Player of the Year. He could score. He can dish. He can play defense. Of course, Randolph-Macon, one of the best defensive teams, if not the best defensive team statistically in Division III men's basketball, and Buzz Anthony was the biggest reason for it. And because it seems so appropriate that Buzz Anthony plays for Randolph-Macon, who are the Yellow Jackets, his mom name, B, because of course it is. Joining them on the second team, it is Adam Favorite from Wisconsin Oshkosh, the defending national champs, who technically will still be the defending national champions next year. From Marshfield, Wisconsin, he was the WIAC Co-Player of the Year with Carter Volker, who was on the other team. He averaged 18 points a game and 9 rebounds, along with 4 assists this season for the forward. And he is joined by a familiar member. It's from Oshkosh as well, Jack Flynn, the center, senior from Appleton, Wisconsin. What a couple of seasons he has had. The 2019 NCAA Tournament Most Outstanding Player and 3-time WIAC first-team member. He's also a 2-time All-American in track and field. He throws the discus. Unfortunately for Jack Flynn, his season not only came to an end in basketball, it came to an end in the spring sports as well. Tip of the hat to Jack Flynn, and congratulations on all that he has accomplished. And with that, we have now gotten our all the way through the second team. We'll take another break. When we come back, we will talk about the first team, and then we'll talk rookie, coach, and player of the year. And still ahead, we will talk about these teams with our friend Ryan Scott. You're listening to Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com from the WBCA and ABC studios. More of the D3Hoops.com All-America teams when we come back.
College basketball lives in Kansas City at the College Basketball Experience at Sprint Center. The College Basketball Experience is the place to get your game on. It's not a museum, it's an experience you won't forget. Discover the history of the game in the National Collegiate Basketball Hall of Fame, featuring the Gallery of Honor, Mentor Circle, and Honor Theater. Suit up in the latest CBE logoed Nike gear at the CBE Hoop Shop. Elevate your game today and visit the house that college basketball built.
We are the coaches of women's basketball. We are leaders and teachers, dreamers and winners. We are professionals who conduct ourselves ethically and with integrity. We place the education, safety, and well-being of the athletes we coach above all else, and teach them the fundamental values they need to succeed in life. We are coaches united for the good of our game and those who play it. We are the WBCA.
Welcome back to the WBCA and ABC studios here, the Hoopsville WBCA and ABC studios. We're presenting the D3Hoops.com All-America team here, and we have gotten through the entire women's team, including postseason awards and rookie, coach, and player of the year, and we are now gotten through the honorable mention, fourth team, third team, and second team selections on the men's side. I'm your host, Dave McHugh. It's time to talk about the second team and first team, right? Or no, we did the second team, I apologize. First team, and then our honorees. And, of course, when we're talking about first team men's basketball, there are some really good players across Division III, to say the least. This was not an easy task, probably one of the more challenging ones. And, again, because as we talked with Gordon Mann, we didn't have a lot of we still had games that we wanted to compare some of these players with. But when it's now time to talk about the D3Hoops.com first team All-America selections, and we start with a player who's captured the headlines for a number of years. Nate Shimowitz from Nebraska Wesleyan. He's our first selection. Shimowitz from Omaha, Nebraska, was the American Rivers Conference and D3Hoops.com West Region Player of the Year. He is a 4-year all-conference first-team selection in the ARC. And he averaged 25 points a game this season, shot 57% from the field, and finished with 488 career assists. He did his best to try and keep Nebraska Wesleyan in the tournament despite getting injured, but hats off to Shimowitz on an incredible season. He is our first selection to the All-America first team, and congratulations to him. We'll miss Nate on the basketball floor, though the ARC may not miss him. Joining him in the backcourt, oh, man, was he fun to watch. Nate West from Laterno, the All-America selection, senior guard. Watch the highlight reel, please, because the man was amazing. Nate West from Laterno is also from Houston, Texas. He was the South Region Player of the Year and 3-time All-Region selection for D3Hoops.com. He scored a Division III season-high 67 points on Senior Day. He also could distribute. He could play defense. He was fun to watch. There wasn't anything Nate could not do, and we appreciate the effort that he put in. We'll finish with this nice little flare on the layup. Nate West, your All-America first team. Joining them in the backcourt, you got to go with a good guard, and you got to go back to the place where college basketball and basketball in general was created. We go to Springfield, and Jake Ross, a senior guard, is our selection for first team All-America. He's from Northampton, Massachusetts. He scored 2,634 career points. That is tied for 7th all-time. His career averages, 25 points a game, 9 rebounds, and 4 assists. He was fun to watch. A 2-time D3Hoops.com Northeast Region Player of the Year. If memory serves, I think he even set a scoring mark in the NUMAC. He is incredible, and we will miss him. I know that his coach will miss him too. Congratulations to Jake Ross. We'll finish with a nice little turnaround jumper from him. He is on our first team. And joining them from Yeshiva, Ryan Terrell, the sophomore guard. Hint, sophomore guard from Yeshiva. He is from Los Angeles, California. The Skyline and D3Hoops.com Atlantic Region Player of the Year, Skyline Player of the Year. Averaged 24 points a game, 6 rebounds a game, 3 assists a game, with field goal percentage of 64%, and he shot 46% from beyond the arc. The guy was incredible. You can also dunk at home. Congratulations to Ryan Terrell on his accomplishment, and he joins our first team selection. There's just one player left for the first team, and some of you probably guessed who it is. There's many in the CCIW that glad that he's finally out of eligibility. Connor Raridan, the senior forward from North Central. Raridan, one of those players who seemed to just never go away. 3-time CCIW first teamer. He was a CCIW Player of the Year this season from Plainfield, Illinois. Finished with 634 career assists. That's second highest for active players and top 50 all time as a forward. The entire Central first team all region selected as All-Americans. That shows you just how much talent there was, and Connor Raridan certainly was among that list. Congratulations to him and all of the first teamers. Again, Nate Shimowitz, Nate West, a lot of Nates, by the way, Jake Ross, Ryan Terrell, and Connor Raridan, your D3Hoops.com All-America first team. And we're not done yet. Let's talk Rookie of the Year for 2020. A lot of interesting choices you could go here, and there was an interesting conversation for this, and I think it was basically, it came down to how impressed we were for the program that he joined. Vinny D'Angelo of Swarthmore. He's from Aston, Pennsylvania, and the freshman shot 52% from the floor, 48% from beyond the arc. He was also, where did my notes go? Here we go. 85% from the free throw line. Led the team in assists, was leading in points by the end of the year. He came in as a freshman and not only replaced Cam Wiley, who had graduated, but he took over the starting position many thought would go to someone else. He ended up starting 20 of 29 games. Vinny D'Angelo chatted with me earlier about this honor for a team that he took over at Swarthmore. Now joining us on the Blue Frame Technology Hoopsville hotline, it's the freshman from Swarthmore, our Rookie of the Year. It is Vinny D'Angelo. Vinny, congratulations on the honor, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks, David. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Again, Rookie of the Year on a program that was number one in the country throughout the season. What does this honor mean to you?
I think this honor is just a testament to my teammates and my coaches. I really appreciate my coaches for pushing me to be the best me on the court and outside the court every day, and my teammates for doing the same, really. And I think we had a really, really well-connected team, and part of what we're going through now that stinks is, I don't get to hang out with them every day and play basketball with them. So, yeah, I think it's just a testament to them and all their hard work they've done too.
Let's back up a few steps. What interested you in Swarthmore in the first place?
So Swarthmore is actually about 20 minutes from my house. And in the college application process, I knew I wanted to go somewhere that was close to home. Also, in the summer, going into my senior year, I met Landry and some of the assistant coaches, and we started to develop a relationship. And, I knew Swarthmore was an academic challenge, and that was something I wanted, one of the best academic schools in the country. And, I thought Landry was a great guy, a great coach, and, I thought we would fit pretty good, so that's why I chose Swarthmore.
You come in, the program had been to the national championship last year. They lose one player. They certainly have high expectations of trying to repeat the accomplishment, if not win a national championship, and they're the preseason number one team. Was there any pressure, did you feel, even before being named a starter? I just mean coming into preseason. Was there any pressure that you were joining a program with really lofty expectations?
I personally did not feel any pressure, and I think that's because as a team we focused on getting better every day and not looking in the past or looking in the future, just being in the present and enjoying our time together and getting better every single day of practice.
You then take on the role of running the offense essentially, or at least getting it started, I should say, as a starter. Again, losing the player who had done that last year. There was one who was his backup that I think many of us thought would take on that role. You come in as a freshman and take over that role. What was that experience like to be handled essentially that responsibility and that mantle?
That experience was, it started off difficult. College is a lot different than high school, a lot harder. But, when you have, great shooters on the outside, like Connor Harkins, George Scotty, Zach Odell, it opens up things a lot. And, it's just a testament to even the guys who got me better in practice and the guys I was on the court with, just trusted me with the ball. And, I thought it was a fun time.
Well, by the end of the season, you had gone from maybe just focusing on running things and getting things started and finding guys like Odell, Visconti, and Schaefer their shots to getting your shots yourself, essentially leading the team in scoring in the last quarter of the season or so. You were putting up a lot of points yourself. That certainly, was that a change in role, or was that just how this offense evolves?
I just think that's how our team was. We had in our starting lineup, I'm pretty sure, everyone dropped 20 points at least one game. Anyone could essentially shoulder the scoring load. And I think that's part of what made us great this year, is that we were such an even team and well-connected team.
You guys got almost through the entire regular season undefeated. Laos coming to Johns Hopkins in the championship game of the conference. Was there a burden when that happens, that you're going undefeated, or was there almost a sense of, okay, we got one done and now we can kind of reset ourselves?
That loss stung. It still stings a little, but we just tried to get past it and stay in the present as soon as possible and just focus on our next game in the tournament. And I thought we did just that.
Sure. Interesting enough, the other thing I'm sure that stings is how the season ended. You guys a couple games away from where I'm sure the ultimate goal was to win a national championship. You guys get it pulled out from under you in the round of 16. If you don't mind, what was that experience like to learn that the season had abruptly finished?
It was gut wrenching, but as soon as we found out, Coach Landry talked to us in the locker room, and he kind of put things into perspective for us, and we've talked about how big this thing really is, and some of the seniors, or both the seniors, talked to us, and just to be grateful for everything that we went through this year, and we were just glad that we really enjoyed the experience together, every second of it.
I assume now too the expectations are you guys want to keep doing this moving forward. While you'll lose some seniors, you guys have a lot of talent. I assume you guys are going to want to make sure that you stay on top to some degree.
Yeah, for sure. We're just going to try and talked about already, but just get better every single day.
Sure, makes sense. I appreciate the time. Congratulations on coming in and having such a tremendous season on such a tremendous team. And I appreciate you giving us some insight on things as well. We have a tradition on the show. We always give the final word to the guest. Any final thoughts you want to share with those who may be tuned in?
I just want to say what's up to my family, and thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Congratulations once again. Thanks for the time. We'll look forward to talking to you down the road.
Thank you.
Absolutely. He's Vinny D'Angelo from Swarthmore, joining us on the Blue Frame Technology Hoopsville Hotline. Once again, congratulations to D'Angelo of Swarthmore, the guard from Aston, Pennsylvania. The bad news for everybody is he will continue to help Swarthmore be a very good team. They may be losing some good talent in Odell and Schaefer, but they've got some great talent coming back, including D'Angelo and others, and that will keep Swarthmore in the conversation nationally and, of course, in the Centennial Conference and Mid-Atlantic region. Congratulations to D'Angelo. Just the fact he came in and took over that program that got to a national championship last year is why we thought he was so impressive. All right, so now we've got that award down. It's time to talk about our Coach of the Year. And there's a lot of directions you could go with this. There were a lot of really good men's basketball teams this year. It's that parity conversation, is it not? So where do you go, essentially? What do you choose for an option? How do you pick almost? It's not an easy choice, and I think we kind of hemmed and hawed over it for a while, but eventually decided that we felt that, well, what you did on the court, what you've done as a program, and what you have done overall is probably something that's worth noticing and taking note of. And so our Coach of the Year this season, forgive me as I try and find a graphic that failed on us, is from Yeshiva, Elliot Steinmetz, who's in his 6th season. Team won 29 straight games and was still alive in the NCAA tournament when the season was canceled, on their way to take on Randolph-Macon in the round of 16. They, among a number of others, had a legitimate chance at possibly winning the national title. By the way, Steinmetz is a full-time lawyer and a part-time coach. He's an alum of Yeshiva, and in his time as head coach, he has not had a losing season. They have worked their way to this. This is what they wanted to accomplish, and he told me more about it when I talked to him earlier. Now joining us on the Blue Frame Technology Hoopsville Hotline, it is the head coach of Yeshiva and our Coach of the Year. It is Elliot Steinmetz. Coach, thanks for taking the time, and congratulations.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the honor.
Absolutely. This is the program that you have been wanting to get not only on your floor, but get this kind of recognition for. You knew there was an opportunity to pull this off. Does it feel like you guys have finally hit the point you wanted to be at?
I think we have. Look, unfortunately, it got cut short, obviously, but I think, we were looking for, to be on the national scene, to be in a situation where we were competing nationally and respected nationally, having an opportunity, as we spoke about 6 years ago, not just to compete for our conference championship, but to compete for a national championship. And I think we really put ourselves, on that road, so to speak, the last couple of years and took a big step forward this year.
Certainly took a big step forward. When you look back at this season, I know you guys had lofty goals. What of them got accomplished because you had control over? Was it to be nationally ranked? Was it to win a conference championship? Was it to get to a certain point in the NCAA tournament? Just curious how you guys did with the goals you actually had control of, because I realize national championship was not one you had control of this time.
That's right. They say man plans and God laughs, I guess. But
True.
we had the goal of going undefeated in our conference and obviously winning that championship, which we were able to check off. We did have a goal of becoming nationally ranked. We thought that as much as it's a it's kind of a credit to what you've accomplished and not what you can accomplish going forward. We thought it was still a nice way for us to be able to get on the national scene, have people talking about our program and our players, and have us in a situation where perhaps we'd have an easier time scheduling games, in future years. So that was certainly a goal. And once we were in the tournament, the initial goal was obviously to win a game, and then kind of one day at a time from there. Sweet 16 was definitely on that list, and we were hoping for more.
Sure, as was a lot of teams, unfortunately. But back to the goal setting to some degree, I know you wanted to put a team on the floor that could compete, but you had to change some minds. Not only a couple of years ago, but this year feels like teams that have put on the floor that can help change some minds to help this recruiting, that you can continue to get guys who may have thought about going elsewhere to come to you.
Yeah, it's definitely been a process. I thought the seniors, especially our two starters and captains, Simcha Halpert and Donnie Katz, who will both graduate this year, really kind of put us on that road when they joined up a few years back. We talked about these goals, and they were some of the few who didn't laugh about it, but were either dumb enough or confident enough to really go chase it with me. And once we got those two guys on board, it really opened things up. You start winning games, and it becomes a little bit contagious.
Not to dwell on how this all ended, but it obviously ended rather abruptly before you got a chance to take on Randolph-Macon in the round of 16 to see if you guys could get to Fort Wayne on the very least, and maybe Atlanta in the grand scheme of things. What was it like for you and the team to get that news, if I'm not mistaken, as you arrived in Ashland, Virginia?
Literally pulling into the parking lot at the hotel when the tweet came out from the NCAA and we started getting phone calls. Obviously the guys were upset, and we tried to sit down and kind of have the team together for dinner that night, and I think everybody was expecting me to have something to say, and there's just no words. It's I put it out on in the WhatsApp chat that we have with the team a little bit, a couple of days later. There was, it's just tough. It's a unique ending. I think when they look back, that's what they'll have to kind of look at. We had so many people texting and calling with the classic, well, you're 1/16th of a champion, or, you didn't lose on the last day, all the things that, and I get it, people mean well, and they're trying to make you feel good about what you accomplished over the course of the season, but we're competitors, and we wanted to see if we could, go beat Randolph-Macon, who was the number one defensive team in the country, and we wanted to see if we could advance past that. It wasn't like enough for us to kind of be able to say, well, at least we didn't lose. So, my message to the guys was basically, it's certainly a unique ending we'll be able to look back at. Life's about perspective, and it's bigger than basketball. There always will be, and kind of the world, as usual, finds a weird way to remind us of that.
Yeah, that's a fair point. On a personal level, what does an honor like this mean, or at least the success of the program mean to you?
I think that's exactly what it is. I think it's the success of the program. I think it's something that, speaks, worlds about what our, my assistant coaches have done. They're the ones who put in a ton of the work. I'm just a pretty face. And, our players who are, up every morning at 6 o'clock in the morning working hard, towards these things. We talk about these things a lot as a program in general when these awards come out, whether it's, individual player awards or coaching awards. They're program awards. They're something for the program to celebrate because, we kind of accomplished it all together.
I know you joked with me about this prior, but I am kind of curious. Would you hope to make the NCAA tournament when there isn't something following you guys? Obviously, 2 years ago, it was a question about a player's eligibility. This year, one of the hardest hit areas to start the coronavirus was in the yeshiva area, which certainly made things interesting in your opening weekend of the tournament. Are you hoping 1 year you're just yeshiva and you're just playing in the games?
That's the hope. 1 year we're going to go to the NCAA tournament and we're just going to play a game or two.
Without anything fouling you, right?
Exactly.
Well, Elliot, congratulations on not only a tremendous season, but this honor. It shows what you've built. It also shows what the team has accomplished. And we congratulate you and all of the players who've gotten their hats tipped as well. And we congratulate you. As always, we give the coach and the guests the final word. Any final thoughts you want to share with those tuned in?
Sure. So first of all, thank you, and as always, for everything you guys do. And I guess the easy final words for today are, hoping that everybody's following the rules out there, and what doctors are putting out, and that we can kind of move past these very bizarre and dangerous times, and get back to first of all, and first and foremost, healthy, normal life, and then second, and not as important, but definitely important too, sports and competition.
Well said. Congratulations again. Thank you for your time. We look forward to talking to you in the future.
Thanks, David. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. He's Elliot Steinmetz from Yeshiva joining us here on the Blue Frame Technology Hoopsville Hotline. And congratulations once again to Elliot. Again, in his 6th season at his alma mater, has not had a losing season, and they won 29 straight. They were looking darn good. Tough to see that season come to a close for him and many other teams, but congratulations nonetheless. And now let's move on to the 2020 Player of the Year. And I'll be honest, sometimes this Player of the Year award is figured out in the tournament, and sometimes we know before the tournament. I think this year it was up in the air. We kind of had our favorites, and we wanted to see how the tournament would play out. National tournament really didn't give us much time, and we went with the player that certainly caught our attention. Almost every single night, the ball was tipped up down in Texas. Nate West of Laterno, the senior guard from Houston, Texas, is our 2020 D3Hoops.com Player of the Year. We were talking about him earlier. What doesn't this guy do? Averaged 43 points over the final 2 weeks of the season, including the playoffs. Had 5 career triple-doubles. 4th in the nation this year in scoring and 2nd in the nation in assists this season. The man was incredible to watch play the game. I enjoyed it. We all enjoyed it, and I know his opponents probably didn't enjoy it. I talked to Nate West about this on a bit earlier. Now joining us on the Blue Frame Technology Hoopsville Hotline from Laterno, it is Nate West, our Player of the Year. Congratulations, sir, and thanks for joining us.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Absolutely. First and foremost, what does it mean that, especially at Laterno, where you guys have brought the program kind of into the national spotlight, that you get an honor like this?
Yeah, that's probably the biggest thing is bringing the light to my school. I mean, of course, we're not really known for basketball, not really known for sports much at all. So it just feels good to all the support that we get and have a good result with it.
You've had an amazing career. We look at you statistically throughout. You've certainly been an incredible player, but this year you certainly seem to shine even brighter. Were you motivated going into the senior year to try and do something special this year, individually or as a team?
Yeah, we of course had our team goals, and I had my individual goals that I knew I needed. The coach helped me come up with to know what I needed to do for us to be a good team. And they were obviously really big goals because we had a lot of young players. So, and I was able to actually achieve 2 goals that I wanted, was scoring and leading the nation in assists.
Yeah, the assist thing I always think is amazing, especially when somebody scores, because you're willing to dish it out. You dished it out 7.9 times a game. For somebody who's averaging nearly 30 points a game and to essentially contribute another minimum 36 points a game, that's a pretty impressive statistic. What was the mentality going in that you said it was a goal, but how'd you go achieve it?
I just would try during the game, just try to get my teammates involved as much as possible. I mean, pour confidence into them as much as possible. So, I mean, because I know we always going to need them all. Like at some point, we needed somebody different. So, just giving everybody a chance to shine, and then also doing my thing at the same time.
Sure. Well, it's tough to do both, and you were able to.
Yeah.
Certainly this year. You had an interesting finish to the season. While we were very used to you scoring your fair share of points all year long, in your last 6 games, you achieved 47 points against Louisiana College, 67 against Belhaven, and in your final game of the season, 51 against Whitworth in the NCAA tournament. Were you just peaking at the right time? What kind of led to those scoring outputs?
That was just, I mean, well, the 67 was a team effort. My team wanted me to go somewhere. That was my senior night. So they wanted me to put on more of a scoring show because they knew I could. But Whitworth, we definitely were needing every single point that I had. Yeah, we were struggling as a team, especially in the first half. So I mean, it was just I was getting every bucket that we needed, and we ended up losing at the buzzer, but it was still a good effort by us. And Louisiana College was just another game where I got hot.
Bellhaven, 67. I mean, that's an astronomical number.
Yeah, that was my teammates just kept feeding me, and I was happened to get hot. Started off slow, but I ended up getting hot, making a lot. I made, I think, 11 threes.
12 or 25.
Oh, 12, 25 threes. I shot 25 threes. That's crazy.
Yeah, that is a little bit crazy. You definitely seemed like a player who could play really well from outside, but you weren't afraid to go inside. Did that make you more challenging to defend?
Yeah, that actually is a big part of my game, because once I know everybody's in fear of the outside, making threes, that's very discouraging to the other team, so they basically just escort me to the goal. so I mean, if being able to finish inside over bigger people is just something I've been able to do my whole life. I've never been big, so just doing that helps me.
You guys made it to the NCAA tournament for the second time in the 3 years that you were with the program. What did it mean to take this program to the dance?
Oh, it means a lot, because, I mean, we got there my sophomore year. We won a game, and it just felt like forever since we got back there. So, I mean, it's obviously the biggest accomplishment, because it's something our school has really ever done before I got there.
And that's kind of a legacy you'll leave behind. But is it just about the game? What else do you hope that people remember about you at LeTourneau?
I hope they remember everything about me. I mean, I was always nice to everybody as possible. Just try to be a great influence on the campus as much as I could, not just campus, in the whole community, because I know a lot of young people looked up to me in the community.
Very interesting. When you look at what the future holds, we're curious, what is your major, and what are you hoping to do when graduation comes?
I'm an accounting major, and after graduation, I'm looking to play some more basketball, wherever that may be.
Sure. Do you have anywhere you're targeting, or is it anywhere that would have you?
Yeah, anywhere where I would be appreciated and I could play my own game.
Sure.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Well, I know Europe, they love the outside shooters as much as the guy who drives in. So maybe
Yeah.
I would be shocked if we're not hearing about you playing in the pros somewhere.
Yeah.
Nate, I really appreciate the time. Congratulations, not only on your season and on this honor, but what you have done and what your teammates have done at LeTourneau to bring them into the conversation and add another fun Texas team for us to watch. Really appreciate your time. We always have a tradition on the show. We leave the final word to our guests. Any final thoughts you want to share with those tuned in?
I just want to say thank you to LeTourneau and all my teammates and my parents. That's it.
Well said. Well, congratulations again. Good luck in your future, and we'll look forward to catching up with you maybe down the road.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. He is Nate West, and joins us on the Blue Frame Technology Hoopsville hotline from LeTourneau. Darn good season for Nate West. Darn good season for LeTourneau. What he did for that program to raise it up, I have a feeling his name will be immortalized at LeTourneau for years and years to come. Fun guy to watch. There were a lot of fun guys to watch. A lot of fun ladies to watch play basketball as well this season. And congratulations to Nate West, our D3Hoops.com Player of the Year from LeTourneau. With that, we will take a break. When we come back, Ryan Scott will join me to talk about those men's selections, and then I'll put a bow on the season, as it were, let you know what our plans are moving forward, but we'll kind of wrap things up and give our proper thanks for what tonight's show became to those who helped us pull it off. You're listening to Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com from the WBCA and ABC studios. We'll take a break and be back with more after this.
My name is Marcus Walker. I was All-State, won a state championship, a high school All-American, and played college and pro ball. I played because I love the game. I grind to be the best. I sweat because I put in work. I'm strong because I believe. When I want to bring it before game time, I come to the house that college basketball built, the CBE. No matter your skill, take it to another level. Elevate your game right here at the College Basketball Experience at Sprint Center.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
In any way that we can.
To get a friend home safe.
To never blame the victim.
It's on us.
To stand up.
To make our community safe for all.
It's on us. It's on us to look out for each other at parties.
It's on us.
To be more than just a bystander.
To step up and say something.
It's on us. all of us
to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
Welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody. Hope you're enjoying the show as we have announced both the women's and men's All-America teams for D3Hoops.com. Congratulations to all 50 players who were named All-Americas. Also, congratulations to the 2 Rookie of the Year, 2 Coaches of the Year, and 2 Players of the Year. Amazingly enough, only 3 schools had players on both teams. And on the women's side, only 1 team had 2 players. On the men's side, I think only maybe 1 team had 2 players. Ryan Scott can correct me if I'm wrong. And trust me, he's done that before. No problem. You're going to hear from him here, I hope, in a second here, because for some reason our system is ignoring me and doesn't want to bring in his Skype shot. So we're going to have to do this the hard way, as this was obviously not the easiest of ventures. Give us a second. I am literally stalling because I'm having to scramble to a different setup than we were supposed to be doing because this isn't how this was supposed to be going. Guessed the wrong one. Bear with me. Bear with me. This was all working fine until it didn't want to work anymore. Ryan Scott joins us on the Blue Frame Technologies Skype hotline. Hello, sir.
Hello, Dave. Thanks for having me back one more time.
Absolutely. Your thoughts on the selections in general?
This is one of those, I think you've mentioned it before, and we talked about it with Gordon, that not having these last 2 weekends of the tournament were just really difficult in terms of choosing, who goes where. And it feels like we had so many, worthy players who could have played their way on, given a couple of more big high pressure games. Yeah, I agree. Or at least maybe position themselves a little bit differently, though I think we have a tremendously good team here. Don't get me wrong. Some really good players. A lot of underclassmen, too. I think that jumps out. It's going to make our lives a little easier when it gets to preseason. Women had 6 underclassmen. I think I saw more than 6 on this men's team, if memory serves. There's a lot of young talent out there that's pretty darn good in men's basketball. Man, the class of junior guards who will be seniors next year is just phenomenal. Buzz Anthony and Jack Nolan and Connor Delaney and Jack Rohde. And, man, I mean, really impressive players that we have coming back, which is really good. Yeah, I should take that back, by the way. It was 6 players. And in reality, we had the same number on the men's side, though that one team had 4 underclassmen in general. When you looked at what we had for talent on the men's side, or at least for those who stood out to you, I know when you kind of came out with a rough list, I remember thinking to myself, man, there's a lot of people I'd like to move higher, and then I couldn't. How tough was it from your vantage point? Yeah, I mean, that's how it always is with these. At least that's what you want, right, is to get to the end. And we had maybe 10 guys or more who did not make these teams. And it's really sad because they had All-American worthy seasons. And those are tough decisions that you have to make. And I'm glad we do it as a committee and not individual because I would not want that responsibility. But, we just have so much great talent. And as much as we try to watch these games, we probably haven't seen all of these guys as much as we would have liked to. Right. And that makes it even harder there as well. Yeah, fair. No, I absolutely agree. We try to watch as many games as we can. And sometimes we might catch them on a bad night. That's the other thing that has happened on a time or two. Anybody jump out at you on the season that they had that almost surprised you that you didn't realize how good they were having? I mean, quite how good they were. Some of the numbers, when we finally were looking at them, were surprising. I think Isaiah Brown's numbers, we knew he was very good, right? And he had some individual games that were impressive, but what was it, 29 and 9 that he had averaged? And, right. I had not heard of Nathan Bauer-Malone before this season. Obviously, we knew of him as the season went along, but then the 53 in the tournament, he hadn't, I mean, obviously, he's a lead guard. He's a guy who can put up points, but that was a bit surprising. Maybe not for the Mount Union fans, but it certainly was for me. And then just to see what these guys have, Deontay Bruton, the last 2 weeks, he averaged something like 38 points, and he's not a tall man. Had a couple of games with 14 rebounds when they really needed them. I can just keep listing guy after guy. We have so many great players.
What jumped out at me was how many Bruton scored in his career when Marcus Echeverria had been ahead of him for all but one season. He still scored 2,300 plus points.
Right. And he scored 2,300 points, and he's the second career scorer for Nichols, right? Like that's
right behind Echeverria, by the way.
Well, and then we had not on the list. I don't know if he made the All-Region for the Northeast. Tyler Dion went to, I believe, Worcester State, but it was on that team with those guys 2 years ago. He transferred out as another, big-time scorer that they had all together sharing that ball.
Yeah, there was at least a dozen guys. I remember you came out your first list, and I even argued. I was like, well, can we move so-and-so higher? And the same thing we always say to those who argue against us. Okay, who are you going to move down? Give me a minute. No, I'm going to need more time. There was so many good players for so many different teams, and then there were teammates we couldn't get on. Obviously, Oshkosh, we had two guys, and we felt comfortable with that. But, I feel bad for guys that, a Zach Odell, and I don't want to name specific people, but there was a Zach Odell who did have a lesser season than the year before, but maybe, stats-wise, maybe because he was more known. But there were guys like that who were so good and so integral with their teams that you just couldn't shoehorn them in.
Well, right. And Swarthmore is a particularly difficult case for us, right? Because they play a style where I don't think anybody on that team averaged more than 23, 24 points a game.
No.
Right. And so they're not putting up the numbers the way other guys would. And they're a passing system. Everybody scores. They could have probably 5 guys in the right situation who could be on this list, right? The talent is there. It's just figuring out, how they play in the system and where they're ranked with the All-Region. And thankfully, most years, those kinds of teams that are stacked and play more of a team game get rewarded, right, by winning and going far in the tournament. It's just a little sadder this year that we didn't have the chance for these guys to get that sort of team recognition that we would normally see.
Well, as Vinny D'Angelo said in his interview, every single guy on that roster, essentially, or at least the main guys, all had 20-plus point games at some point. Their leading scorer was George Visconti, who we haven't even talked about, at 12.3 points a game. Vinny D'Angelo at 11.6. Connor Harkins, we're not talking about, at 11.1. Zach Odell at 10.7. And then Nate Schaefer at 10.5. And you're wondering, well, why is Nate Schaefer there? Because what he could do defensively and on the boards was ridiculous. And then you have Zach Odell. But that's the problem with Swarthmore, is you had 5 legit guys on any given night was going to perform.
Right, and that's the thing, and hopefully, they're a pretty tight-knit team, and I hope they're watching and congratulating Nate, but, there really are 3 guys you could probably just pencil in that same spot who would all make a great case and everyone would be happy with, that they that's just the style they play. It's the same thing. I'm glad we were able to recognize Vinny as well. Yeah. His assist numbers are not super high for a point guard, but that's largely because Swarthmore's making 3 or 4 passes before they get the shot off, right? And the point guard's getting the first one. So, yeah, and you see that across the board. Hopefully, we're not just slaves to numbers in this whole system, right?
No.
Connor Raridan does not score a ton of points, but he's clearly, when anyone watches him on the floor, just an incredible talent, and that's why he's up there on the first team. And hopefully, it's we've got Eric Demers, who was the leading scorer, is an honorable mention because he is an All-American, but maybe not at the same level, and hopefully it's more than just the numbers, that we have a chance to actually see these guys play and reward them accordingly.
I wanted to finish also on the point that we have some standouts. Like Ryan Terrell's a sophomore, and he's on the first team. There are some guys that really emerged, and we knew Ryan Terrell was going to be good, but he had an incredible year. And by the way, we could argue Leifer's, by the way, going to come back, so that's 7 guys who could return on this, but there were
I counted 8, but yeah.
Oh, did you count 8? Okay, I take your word for it because I was scanning a list that doesn't have all the info on it. It's my notes. There were some really standout seasons, and it's a shame. Again, I don't want to beat the drum. Shame we can't finish this off. What are you looking forward to when we get ready to kind of hopefully tip it up next season from these guys or others that are hopefully going to be on the floor?
Well, what I love to see is how different our preseason All-Americans end up being from the postseason All-Americans. I know Pat doesn't like when I say that, but I like the fact that we have guys who show up and play and put seasons to. I wouldn't have known who Nathan Bauer Malone was last year. I just his name escaped me. I didn't catch him, and then the season he had to be able to reward that is pretty fantastic. One of the names we unfortunately were not able to shoehorn in here this year is Marcus Dempsey, right? Who's already over 2,000 points with a whole season left to go. His team has not had super great success, but their recruiting has been improving and they're playing well. And hopefully we'll be able to see a fantastic season out of him next year.
Yeah, I decided to take a peek at the preseason. I shouldn't have. I will close it. There are some guys injuries were some of these. I hope Demetrius Underwood is coming back. I think we've been told he is for Texas Dallas. That'll make them dangerous. It'll be fun to see him come back. But it's fascinating because what we do, we try and figure these are the players to watch in the preseason. These are the guys you want to key on, and then always somebody's going to step up and go, hello, here am I, and here we got it this year. On that, I'll leave you. Any final thoughts on the season before we sign off and you go back to your sequesterdom?
Yeah, I just tweeted this out a minute ago. It's just really sad that we didn't get to see the All-Star game.
Yeah.
Right? To be able to I just love the chance to talk to these guys a little bit more in person, right? They're all in one place, and I get to, it's kind of a spoil of this job to be able to do that. Yes. But I'm wondering, Reese's NABC,
maybe you had an idea I brought up.
Maybe we do a doubleheader next year, right? Do the 2020 game and the 2021 game. I'm sure there's time on the court at Fort Wayne to make that happen, right?
My argument was put 2020 against 2021.
I don't know if everybody gets enough minutes that way, Dave. Let's do 2 games.
Yeah, no, I like the 2-game one better than mine, but my idea was fun until you mentioned the doubleheader. I'll take the doubleheader. Yeah. Hey, thanks for the time, and thanks for coming on the show all season long. Really appreciate it. You and Bob. Great to have you guys add a little bit more voice and instead of my doldrums all the time. Appreciate it. And thanks. Enjoy the off season. I know we'll be catching up nonetheless, maybe with some podcasts and stuff, but take care of yourself, sir.
Thank you.
Absolutely. He's Ryan Scott joining us on the Blue Frame Technology Hoopsville Hotline. Gives us a chance to thank Blue Frame Technology for their help this season with us. Not only a sponsor of the hotline for the second season in a row, but they were our streaming provider. Though, ironically, tonight, I think our Facebook side simulcast ended near the end of the show. I apologize. Can't control everything. But I want to thank Blue Frame. If you're looking to maybe find some software to help you, especially in these times of coronavirus, please check them out. They are actually offering Production Truck, their software, for free to stream for anybody out there who needs to stream, whether it's churches, whether it's meetings, or whatever the case may be. If you need some software that's pretty darn reliable, we use it for a lot of things, especially if you tune into the D3Hoops.com Classic. Please check them out at blueframetechnology.com. You can find them online at blueframetech.com. That's blueframetech.com. And tell them I sent you. Tell them you heard about it on the show. That will help us out just a little bit as well. Of course, want to thank their Team One Sports app that we certainly enjoyed all season long. The Team One Sports app is where you can watch this show and its archives on Apple TV, Roku, Android TV, and Amazon Fire TV. You can also find our archives of the show not only on D3Hoops.com, but at TeamOneSports.com. Go to TeamOneSports.com/Hoopsville to learn more about all of that. While I'm doing that, and we should mention some others, we will get those mentioned as well, and then we'll get to our big thank yous. But I want to thank Sensible Sports Marketing. Go to getsportsense.com or give them a call at 1-800-575-4765. And I now realize I misplaced my cheat sheet for them. But if you're looking for ideas that are going to help promote your athletics department or your team or something along those lines, or maybe some big wall decorations, whatever the case may be, check them out at Sensible Sports Marketing. It's getsportsense.com. That's also where you can find them on Twitter at getsportsense. Give them a call at 800-575-4765. I also want to thank our friends at Sport Tours International. Play the world, they say, once the world settles down, of course. If you're looking to try and book a future trip to Europe or South America, maybe even Costa Rica or somewhere else with your team, which you're allowed to do, give them check them out. They'll certainly set up a trip for you. You can go online at sporttours.net. They're also the hosts of some pretty darn good basketball tournaments in Division III, the Daytona Shootout, and, of course, our favorite, the D3Hoops.com Classic in Las Vegas at South Point Arena and Hotel. Get our friends Brett Seymour and others a call at Sport Tours International. Get to our tournament in Las Vegas, for example. We'd love to have you. Thanks to our friends at Sport Tours for their support. And if you are a coach looking to expand your career, move on to a better job, or just look to better position yourself, check out our friends at Capital Elite Agency. Prepare to advance, they say. www.capitaleliteagency.com. You can also check them out on Twitter at Cap Elite Agency. That's Cap Elite Agency. Again, our friends at Capital Elite Agency, I really want to thank them for their help in all of this. And, of course, there's more help to go around. First, I want to thank Pat Coleman, Gordon Mann, Brian Scott, and everybody who helped us put these teams together, especially those who voted in the all-region selections, but then everybody who helped put their minds together to create these All-America teams, and then thanking them for letting us do it on the show. This was fun. I'll admit, if I could convince them not to do it at the championship weekend, I'd want to do it on this show every year. I think it was a fun way to do it. But I also realize some of the traditions of things. But thanks to them for coming on. The awards show idea, though, I've got an idea for next season. I think we're going to give away some of our own awards, not necessarily for the games or the coaches or those involved. But someone tweeted me. I had the idea festering in my head, and somebody tweeted at me an idea, and it's kind of making it expand. We're going to work in the offseason about putting our own awards together, and we're going to put it on you to nominate. We're not going to go out there and look for these. It's going to be on you to nominate. We'll put some structures in place as how to nominate and all that. But maybe we'll give our own awards here on Hoopsville starting next season as well. Now to our big thank you. I want to thank not only about the 45 sports information directors I reached out to since Thursday night on helping put this show together, including one who I reached out to yesterday because I forgot to email him. I want to thank all of them. I can't list them all because there's 45 of them. But there were so many SIDs who turned around images for us, got us interviews booked, also sent us videos so that we could air that as well. Just all the work that they did. I want to thank them tremendously for their help in putting this together. And I want to thank all the sports information directors who have helped throughout the course of the season. It is sometimes hard to get coaches on the show or student athletes or whatever, and it's the sports information directors who certainly help. And we hear back from about 95% of them when we send out requests, and we thank them for their help. One sports information director who helped with this show, and you heard Gordon mention him earlier in the show, Luke Stilson at McDaniel. Luke and I go back years. I've been calling games at McDaniel for a number of years. I've been helping with their video stream for longer than that. And Luke and I are friends, and I enjoy going up there and working with him. And he gives me ideas. I think I give him some ideas. Luke Stilson did all these graphics tonight. I want to show you yet again. We'll show the first team All-America on the men's side. Luke Stilson did these graphics. He and I were going to do it together. I was brainstorming some ideas, and all of a sudden he just got to work, and he came up with this, and he did a tremendous job. By the way, I did the background. That's all I did. He got the rest of it. He did an amazing job on all of it, and hats off to him. We will be sending him some swag from this studio, some of our favorite things that we have collected, including some new stuff that we got for this year. We'll send him a bag of that and some other things to thank him. But Luke Stilson, hats off to you, sir. Thank you so much for your help. It really meant a lot to me. It took a huge load off of my shoulders, and I think it made this show tonight look outstanding. So thank you, Mr. Stilson, for your help. I know a lot of you SIDs have had some off time because of this coronavirus. Luke took full advantage of some of that downtime and put an amazing thing together. I think I had one graphic that just didn't look right today. Maybe two. I don't remember. I emailed him about one, I think. That's it. That's how great a job he did. Trust me, I would have made more mistakes. By the way, I did make one mistake. Apparently, I said Mr. Leifer was from Lawrenceville, North Carolina, or Lawrence, North Carolina. I don't know how I said that. It clearly says Lawrence, New York in my notes. So sorry, Gabe. You are from Lawrence, New York. I apologize for that. If we had a mistakes segment, that's probably the shortest we've ever had. With that, we wrap up the 2019-2020 season. It was an odd season. It started odd, especially on a personal note, getting out of the gate a little bit late due to some the back issues that many of you know about. Those back issues continue, as some of you know about, and we will be dealing with them through the rest of the off season. If I had known that this coronavirus was going to hit and I could get into a hospital, I would do the surgery, the second one now. That ain't going to happen. So we'll find a time when we can get into that. We shall see. But it may start a little rough next year, but we'll hope it doesn't. But
It started rough, and it ended really odd. We're never going to forget this year. We're not going to forget it for reasons we don't want to remember. Unfortunately, 16 teams on both the men's and women's side, 32 total. We're still playing for a national championship, and we'll never get a chance to do that. And I tip my hat to the seniors who will leave without the job accomplished, as it were, but they still go out as winners for most of them. I also tip my hat to everybody else who had the opportunity. Strange finish, but you all really handled yourselves well. From the coaches to the administrators to the teams, you should applaud yourselves for how you've handled one of the strangest things we've ever seen, the cancellation of championships, which we've never seen, for a pandemic. I can't say we've never seen that, but at least in our lifetimes we haven't. So hats off to all of you. If you won awards, congratulations. If you didn't, still congratulations, because you guys did amazingly well this year. Also, we can go back and look at some amazing games this year. We can go back and look at some amazing performances and some amazing surprises. If you tuned into the last show, we certainly broke down a lot of our kind of surprises or disappointments per se. But it's a year we'll never forget for a lot of good reasons, and it was fun to do. This show certainly went on to another level too. Got to thank the wife and the family because, well, the studio looks pretty darn good, right? I mean, if you tuned in early in the show, early in the season, you know why. It's because of the wife. She painted, and she bought some things and put them together while I was recovering from back surgery. And, of course, my friend Jared came down and helped rewire the studio. So there's lots of thank yous to go out there. I want to thank the kids. I told my son we would try and get him on this show as a producer of some kind this year, and we just couldn't pull it off. We will find a way. You will be seeing my son more often in the future as we get him on this program to do some help, because as we also proved this year, as we continue to expand the show, that this show is getting bigger, and we're wanting to do more to shine a light on the student athletes and coaches and everybody in Division III. What it showed to us is we need more help. Again, the Luke Stilsons of the world, the Ryan Scotts, Gordon Manns, and Pat Colemans, we need some more of those, and maybe my son will be part of that, maybe even my daughter in the future. So I want to thank the entire family for the help that they provided us as well. I want to thank every single guest who appeared on this show. We had very few repeat guests. Off the top of my head, 2 maybe? Now, part of that is because of the tournament coming to a close the way it did. We would have gotten into our repeats as the season was progressing, but we didn't. But there were also that many good stories out there. And with that, I want to thank the National Association of Basketball Coaches and the Women's Basketball Coaches Association, because without their help, a lot of these ideas don't come to fruition, as it were. They support us both financially and, of course, with getting coaches or promoting our work and all that. And so I want to thank them especially for their support with all of this. So that goes without saying, and we hope our partnership with both the NABC and WBCA can continue down the road, maybe with some massaging and augmenting to make it even better. But I want to thank them. Our plan is to maybe do some monthly podcasts. We attempted to do that last season before a water pipe and a bad back just absolutely ripped that idea out the wall. But starting maybe in late April, I've unfortunately got a little bit of time on my hands. But hopefully starting in late April, we'll be able to get some games or some podcasts under our belt, maybe go back to talk to some of these coaches who we didn't repeat with and talk about the incredible seasons that they had. Talk to others out there about things. I'm still working on an idea regarding how officials will be reevaluated in Division III. There's still the discussion with the cancellation of these tournaments. How much is that going to impact things moving forward with the NCAA? Those are topics we'll try and tackle in the offseason should answers exist. There's a lot of what ifs, and we'll try and find out if we can get answers to those what ifs. And there's more. There's lots more. And there's going to be coaches changes. There's already coaching decisions. There's already coaches who have left. Yesterday, East Texas Baptist announcing that their head coach was leaving to go into the ministry and the assistant was taking over the job. There's already changes going on despite the distractions of COVID-19, and we'll keep an eye on that and maybe even chat about basketball or what else is going on in Division III during the offseason, which we hope will only last until November 8th next year or October 15th when the ball tips up. But to be honest,
We just don't know. Now, I know a lot of you are going to be wondering about who did or who didn't make it into the tournament or in the All-America list. Remember, this isn't supposed to be an all-inclusive club. And remember that it's supposed to be tough to get in, and that those get it deserve it, and those who missed it probably deserved it too. But it's okay. Not everybody can be an All-American, and while you didn't make it, you still should be commended on their seasons. Just double-checking to see if we got any questions, because I certainly don't want to wrap things up too much early here. Sorry, bad word. Someone wants to know if there's Scorekeeper of the Year award. I don't think I'm going to have Scorekeeper of the Year award, but that's a funny one. I like it. With that, I think we wrap it up. I'm trying to make sure I didn't miss anybody or miss anything. I don't think I did. But it was fun this season. I thank you for tuning in. This was our 30th show, I believe, if not 31st, which is pretty darn good. I thought we would have done a few more. We certainly thought we'd be in Atlanta in a couple weeks' time. We're not. And so we'll finish out with a round number of 30. Thank to all those who have made the podcast rather popular, by the way. Our numbers increased there quite a bit this year, maybe because we also found a lot more platforms, but a lot more of you were tuning in. And a lot more of you are tuning into our video. Our numbers continue to go up every year. Please, please tell people about it, because the more numbers, maybe we can get some advertising, which gets to my final thought. Thank you, all of you who donated to our fundraiser, as it were. We didn't get to our goal, but I was being a little bit challenged with that, to admit. But we got a good amount in, and I thank you for that. In this down period where I am unemployed for probably until the end of May, that's going to help a bit. Not for what we were hoping to use it for, but it will help us at least not be full-time and not able to do this job maybe in the future. But let's get through the off-season first, shall we? But thank you, all of you who donated. We'll keep the PayPal link alive, and if you're interested in donating to the show, let us know. We'll send you an address or email us. We'll send you the information on how you can donate. We may be putting a patron system together, too, in a way of thanking you, but also having you help us. And with that, we sign off. This has been an incredible 2019-2020 season. Thanks for tuning in for the D3Hoops.com All-America announcements on the Hoopsville Awards show tonight. We'll look to maybe do this in the future as well. I want to thank our partners at Sensible Sports Marketing, Sport Tours, Capital Lead Agency, Blue Frame Technology, WBCA, NABC, and, of course, D3Hoops.com, and most importantly, as they say in public television, viewers like you. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Hope you enjoy the off-season, and we'll look forward to getting back here in November, tipping the ball up again and talking some Division III basketball. We don't know who the champs will be. What we do know is we'll have moved forward from a little bit of a rough time and looking for a distraction. There's plenty of good Division III basketball ahead of us in the future. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. You've been listening to Hoopsville. If you want to talk Division III basketball, you have to listen to Hoopsville. Presented by D3Hoops.com from the WBCA NABC studios with guests appearing on the Blue Frame Technology Hoopsville hotline. Good night. Enjoy the off-season. Take care of yourself and your families. And we'll look forward to talking to you possibly in the off-season, but more importantly, in November 2020. Good night, everybody.